WrestleMania 36 is done. Terrifying. Well, technically, part 1 is done, and now we get to talk about it on a Sunday. What kind of crazy world are we living in? And then tomorrow, we get to talk about part 2. I was about to say, it's a bit like a Netflix show, and one match especially was like something you would watch on Netflix. Small spoiler, I had an absolute faboo time watching this, so let's not wait around. Let's take this to Finger of Power. How you doing, my friend? Doesn't talk to me, it's just my finger. Let's up those downs for WrestleMania 36, part 1. We still had a pre-show, even though usually the best thing about the pre-show is seeing all the fans come into the arena and you get excited. And obviously we had no fans, but you know, it's WWE and they have their way and they will stick to their way no matter what's going on. We also got a match which was Drew Gulak versus Cesaro. It was fine. Cesaro got the win, which kind of surprised me, but then I remembered the hierarchy in WWE, and of course Drew Gulak is below Cesaro. And we had an interview with Baron Corbin, who performed the worst song I've ever heard in my entire life. Now, it was meant to be bad, but he got a harmonica and just came out with this absolute gibberish. Put a smile on my face. I appreciate that, Baron. All of this, surprisingly, can have it up. WrestleMania then started properly, and we had a little message from Stephanie McMahon just explaining the situation, and I thought that was okay. And then we had the most incredible opening video that I have seen for ages. And the only thing I want to mention is that at one point, Seth Rollins curb stomped a giant enemy crab. So I guess he crab stomped it. I can only assume he'd been playing that classic PS3 launch title Genji. That is one hell of a niche joke. However, because of how thrilling this was and because it was WrestleMania, I started to get so pumped up, I was just ready to run through walls and start throwing my hands around. And then we got to the empty performance center, and while I knew this was going to happen, it just made me so sad. And I was like, damn, this situation that is ruining the world. It wasn't fair on Alexa Bliss, it wasn't fair on Nikki Cross, and it wasn't fair on the Kabuki Warriors. So this has nothing to do with WWE. This has nothing to do with the wrestlers. Please listen to me, because last time I did this, everyone went crazy. But we have to, well, I've only got a certain amount of things I can do to, like, you know, counter everything that's going on the globe. And that's this. Pow! Down to this damn thing that has taken everything out and stolen some of our fun away. We also got welcomed to the show by Rob Gronkowski, and I understand that everything in my being, everything of what makes Simon Miller, should hate this guy, but I just don't, and I don't understand why. I don't get it. I mean, he was dressed here like he had just come off the slopes, like he'd been doing a bit of skiing, and I have absolutely no clue as to why that was. He was then joined by Mojo Rawley, and the two acted like proper annoying frat boys. I guess I don't get it. I can't even find the words. It just bings off me, and I laugh at Rob Gronkowski, who even stood here and went, yeah, I'm the Gronk. What a moron. As for the women's tag team match itself, though, it was just fine. It was an okay opening match that put a smile on my face. And you could kind of see the crazy edits we had here, because of course this year WrestleMania 36 is pre-recorded, and we even got a little wink wink nudge nudge to the Legion of Doom, I think, because Kairi Sane and Oscar did their own version of the Doomsday device. I mean, I think it was that. 100% no. Either way, give them it up. Otherwise, there's not really that much to say. After a neck breaker by Nikki Cross and the Twisted Bliss by Alexa, they did indeed beat the Kabuki Warriors for the Women's Tag Team Championships. And it's just nice that people in WWE remembered that they did in fact have Women's Tag Team Championships. I never thought we used the Kabuki Warriors to all their strength, so fingers crossed now they get separated and go and have singles runs. Yeah, right, that ain't gonna happen. And again, for something that started a very, very strange event, this was all right by me. Thumbs up all round. Sami Zayn and friends with them backstage, and you already know the deal. They were just hyping themselves up because they're going to kick Daniel Bryan's ass later. And as it turns out, Sami Zayn is now the American Fidel Castro, so I presume he made the short trip in from Cuba. Elias versus Baron Corbin was next, and look, it was just the victim of bad placing and not giving it some kind of stupid stipulation that we could have had fun with. Down. It should have been shorter than it was, and it wasn't. And again, yes, we should have had some weirdness put in here, like, oh, it's a Lion King match, just to liven things up, and we didn't do that either. And just to give it one last punch to the gut, Elias won with the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. I sound like Kermit the Frog. Bring it down. I think that's number 19, but you always let me know in the comments when I get it wrong. The point is that it happened, And the point is, we may even have to talk another one later on. But yeah, it was just there, and I think the most important thing we have to do here is put out a PSA that if you are watching professional wrestling and you're an impressionable person, please do not now walk up to your bathroom window and just throw yourself out of it because you saw Elias fall from a podium and apparently have no injuries whatsoever. All he had was some tape on his shoulder. When did Elias become Superman? Also, please don't forget that when you are explaining this feud to your friends, to say, yes, a man who thinks he's a king pushed a musician off a ledge and tried to murder him, and yet people involved still let these two have a match. Wrestling. It was then Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler for the Raw Women's Championship, and this just proved that really, if you're invested in something, and if you've plugged in your emotions to a program, you don't need fans, you don't need atmosphere, you just need to see a couple of people kick each other's asses, because as soon as I knew it was this, I was like, oh yeah, come on! I turn into a weird person when I'm watching WrestleMania. Becky arrived in her big truck, which still hasn't got any parking tickets, even though she just keeps leaving it in the middle of the road, and Shayna Baszler was out being all no business Shayna Baszler. And I tell you, these two absolutely whooped each other hard. It was a bit like Bryan and Sami Zayn, which we will talk about later, but they went, well look, if we're not going to have any noise and we're not going to have any distractions, we will work as hard and as stiff as we possibly can, and we'll just straight up punch each other in the face. Shayna smashed Becky's head into the announce table with that swing move like she did on Raw a couple of days ago, and there was even a near fall here, and even without the 1, 2, I still went, thought she was going to win. But then there's the finish. The finish, man, I really don't know, and I guess this is going to divide people. And I also assume that WWE has come to some sort of agreement with Ronda Rousey, which is why this went down. Because yes, Becky Lynch did win, and she won after Shayna Baszler got her in the Kirifuda clutch, and then Lynch kind of rolled through and surprised her with a pin. And I sat there like, wait, does that count as the most devastating move in sports entertainment? And I'm still not sure, to the point, look, my hand got glued to my head because I sweated so much with confusion that now I can't get it off. It was a lie. So I guess we bring down the board and we'll move it up to 20. But look at me, I'm confused. And really, and I kind of like that this has happened, I didn't like it from a storyline point of view, as opposed to just being a wrestling nerd going, get this terrible booking. It's just some things you're going to like and some things you're going to don't like. And of course, if WWE has come to an agreement with Rousey and she comes back to try and reclaim her Raw Women's Championship that Becky never lost since she beat her, well, that makes a lot of sense. Just kind of thought this pulled the rug from beneath Shayna's feet. Kind of just wanted her to go in there and wreck Becky Lynch. So because of this, it's getting a down, but that's like a personal down to me. Otherwise, this was an absolutely, well, it was stellar, to be honest. It was stellar. I thought the other person should have won. Simple as that. With all that said, I really did enjoy the meat and bones, go talk about that later, between Shayna Baszler and Becky Lynch, so they're also gonna get an up, and I am intrigued to see what happens now. We then did throw Bryan and Sami Zayn out there, and I think somebody forgot to clue them up about what professional wrestling was, or Sami Zayn had stolen from Bryan early in the day, and now Bryan was like, I'm gonna teach you a lesson about theft, and I am just going to beat you up for real. This was like New Japan. You watch New Japan and they're like punching each other in the face. That's what these two were doing. Also, because we had everyone at ringside, Drew Gulak, Cesaro, and Shinsegae Nakamura, there was so much chin wagging in this match that I was chuckling away. Give it up. And that also goes for Mr. Gulak when he chucked the Swiss Superman and the Artiste over the barricade, and they just vanished. It was like there must have been a 100-foot hole here. You didn't even see them pop up with their eyes. I thought they must have been dead. Oh, did I love that. And I tell you too, Bryan did take huge parts of this match, but of course, once Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura had got back into it, they did some kind of distraction. Bryan came off the top rope. He got Helluva kicked right in the face, and I could not believe this. Sami Zayn actually retained his Intercontinental Championship at, well, it's still WrestleMania 36, it still counts. A couple of months ago, he couldn't even get a match, and now he is defending gold. We have entered the parallel realm. This was pretty damn fantastic. Did I give it an up? I don't know, but of course it gets an up. And yeah, look, you'd never get away with this on a normal Mania show, but it's not a normal Mania show. This is like those idiots that go, well, the Batman game wouldn't be good if Batman wasn't in it. He's in it! He's right there, I'm looking at him! And in case you missed it earlier in the day, WWE then announced that The Miz was out of the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match because he was injured. In reality, he was sick. So it did mean that for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, we were going to have a single-person triple threat match between Jimmy Uso, Kofi Kingston, and John Morrison. Now that makes as much sense as 2 + 2 = sheep, but needs must, give it an up. But my word, these 3 guys couldn't have given 2 hoots that they didn't have a crowd, they didn't have an audience, and they just went all out. At one point, John Morrison tight roped across the top rope before giving Kofi Kingston a Spanish fly, and Jimmy Uso was flying around the place, and at one point Jimmy Uso just had the ladder thrown into his gut. I can't imagine how much this hurt. So obviously when you've got people go, yeah, come on, you can do it, woo, I love you so much. Your adrenaline goes up, which means the pain is less, but here, it was just like wanton destruction. I think at one point I just stood up and went, "Roo-fa-ka-ka," like I was having some kind of breakdown, which would have wakened my neighbors up. And all 3 of these guys could have done a hell of a lot less, and I would have understood, but they went out of their way to entertain me. And because of that, I'm just going to bow down to you. I'm going to bow down to everybody on WrestleMania. You did go out of your way to do everything you could do, and I massively appreciate it. Jimmy also entered the "we should mic this guy up when he wrestles" club because he was just so done with some of the things he was saying in a positive sense, and I am going to bring in the SVP award here, the Simon's Valuable Player Award, and I'm going to give it to all of these 3 guys. I'm going to give it to this trio for quite literally putting all their bodies on the line. We also had somewhat of an interesting finish, and I know a lot of people didn't like it, but we were in the traditional spot where all 3 guys were at the top of the ladder trying to get the belts, and then they did unhook it, but they unhooked it from the main bit. And then when John Morrison got punched in the face, he grabbed the titles for real, and as he was falling, retained them. So I suppose that John Morrison is now the tag team champions, but he seems to have a very good relationship with The Miz. I'm sure he will pass one on to him. I'm still not sure whether that finish was stupid or really inventive, but I don't give a damn. I ain't thrown any criticism or any shade at this. It was WWE just as good ladder matches. Doesn't matter if you got an ant in the crowd, doesn't matter if you got a goat in the crowd, they go all out. It blows my damn mind. It was amazing then, and speaking of amazing, out came Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, and these 2 people are just damn good professional wrestlers. Look at this, gritting my teeth, give it up. Once again, you didn't need to worry about the crowd, you didn't need to worry about the atmosphere, you didn't need to worry about anything. The pair of them just went back and forth so superbly that it actually felt like a real fight. At one point, Kevin Owens did the most beautiful DDT I have ever seen in my life. In fact, it was so good, if I could get down on one knee and propose to it, I would marry the damn thing, and we would live happily ever after. Unfortunately, this wasn't perfect. Now, I kind of knew beforehand that this version of WrestleMania would have a few shenanigans and a few tricks and a few surprises, but I didn't appreciate what WWE did here, even though they rectified it a few seconds later. Because for you see, Seth Rollins grabbed the ring bell, he slammed Kevin Owens right in the head, and they did a disqualification finish. And if you watch any ups and downs, you know that I think WWE overuses that to such a degree, it makes me want to rip off my arm and just smack things around my house because I have a serious problem. And the whole world melted down here, and I know this because I was on Twitter at the time, and I just think we could have done away from that. We didn't need to trick people in the way we did, so that is getting it down. But yes, like I say, this was made good in a matter of seconds because Kevin Owens got on the microphone, he called Seth Rollins a bitch and said, let's just have a no DQ match or anything goes match or no rules match, whatever you want to call it. And my big thing was, well, why didn't we announce this beforehand? It would have made WrestleMania even more exciting because you knew when you got here, it would have broke up the pacing a bit. Whatever, I just needed to get it out there. When we did get back into it, it was even more excellent than maybe it was prior because we just replaced wrestling moves for crazy weapons and crazy spots, and that was all right by me. And the only thing we really need to talk about is when Seth Rollins was lying on the announce table and Kevin Owens climbed up onto the WrestleMania sign, which even in the Performance Center was pretty damn high, and he jumped off and hit an elbow through Seth on the table. It was, what are we doing? What are we doing? There was nobody there. I mean, Kevin Owens clearly wanted a WrestleMania moment. Here, look, I got it out of my pocket. There it is, a WrestleMania moment. It's yours. You can have it for the rest of your damn life. It meant Owens was then able to capitalize with the stunner and get the win, which was a surprise to me. And I tell you this, I saw some people out there being negative towards WrestleMania. Go and watch this spot, and then you dare come be negative about WrestleMania in my house. I will get some soap like your dad used to do after you swear, and I will put it in your mouth, and I will wash that grub from your tongue. Just go watch this spot now, then come back and watch the rest of Ups and Downs. It's still blowing my mind. I saw it about 12 hours ago. We were back to Gronk after this, which was very strange because what a crap host he had been. He'd only said 2 words to us and then swanned off to do something else. And for some reason, we decided to have him fall out with Mojo Rawley. I mean, what do we do? Who wanted to see that? Even Gronkowski's mum was probably watching this going, I don't want to see any kind of feud between these two. We were just coming up with this. But R-Truth was all of a sudden in one of these podiums with these two doing his 24/7 shtick. And I will say at this point, my WWE network automatically switched to Spanish commentary for no reason. So I was like, oh no, they've given R-Truth a Spanish gimmick. Thankfully, it was just a glitch in the system. Anyway, Rob Gronkowski then punched R-Truth in the face. So what a prick he is. He went to pin him, Mojo Rawley pushed his friend away, he pinned him, so Mojo Rawley is now the 24/7 champ. Also had a backstage promo with Paul Heyman, mostly to remind us that yes, we are having another night of WrestleMania 36. Please do tune in when Brock Lesnar will hopefully kick Drew McIntyre's ass. Somewhat surprisingly, it was then Goldberg versus Braun Strowman for the Universal Championship, and that got your mind ticking, because if you were keeping track, you were like, oh, it's not actually the main event, because we still have to get to the Boneyard. And if you have watched wrestling for any period of time, that would have also made you have gone, well, clearly this is not going to go a very long time. Otherwise, they probably would have put it in last place. And really, this was just Goldberg maths, because it went spear plus spear plus spear plus spear plus spear plus spear plus spear equals pinfall. Oh, Braun Strowman kicked out. And then Braun Strowman went power slam, power slam, power slam, power slam, power slam, power slam. Oh, look, I've somehow beaten Bill Goldberg. And the problem we have here is that, yes, that means that Braun Strowman is now the Universal Champion. But look at my body language here. My body language sums up my emotions and feelings towards this. I'm just like, yeah, okay. And that ain't going to help Braun. That ain't going to help the Mod Strong man who wants to get these hands. Because this is his first ever major title win. I know he won the IC Championship, but come on now. And it was just there. It's like you're walking along, here I go, moving now. Walking along in the park, and I saw a duck, and I'm like, oh, there's a duck. That's how I kind of felt about this. Duck worthy. I guess some things were always going to suffer because of the presentation and because of the last minute shiftings around, and this was one of them. Although I will say, the cool thing was, WWE did the right thing here. They must have played WWE 2K20 and saw a couple of dudes who just like store all their finishes beforehand, and you just have a finisher match. Well, no, we can do that in real life. That's what it was. We only saw finishes. I presume Goldberg's going away for a little bit, so Dad, I'll see you at home. And yeah, Braun Strowman as Universal Champion. So it just didn't really work for me, especially given this should have been one of the matches we were super pumped for, and therefore it gets a down. And also there's another random down, my word, 2 in a row, because nobody mentioned Roman Reigns here at all. We should have just had anything, something for people that may not have watched SmackDown or saw a graphic from a couple of weeks ago, and they were like, where's Roman Reigns? Like that John Travolta gif? That's just silly, WWE. I understand you're trying to make us forget, but we're all nerds, we're all geeks. We never forget. It did mean that our last match was going to be the Boneyard match, and I've been saying this for weeks. Nothing in my life, probably since the day I popped out of my mother's womb, has made me as excited as this. And I didn't even know what it was. But if you walk up to me and say, son, we're going to do a Boneyard match, I am 100% in. And thankfully, all my anticipation paid off, because it doesn't just get it up, it gets a damn golden up. In fact, make it diamond. It gets a diamond up. And look, it was basically just a graveyard match, which made absolutely no sense, because AJ Styles is the person who wanted this. Why would you look at the Undertaker and go, I know where I want to fight you. I want to fight you in a graveyard. That is like me wanting to have a fight with you and say, let's do it in a barber shop. I ain't gonna win. But don't even worry about that, because as I say, this was the best thing you have ever seen in your damn life. It was shot as if we were watching some kind of stupid movie on the Sci-Fi Channel, and even when The Undertaker arrived on his bike, meaning he was more American badass than the dead man, I didn't care, and that's a big deal, because I never really bought into Biker Taker, because I was just so obsessed with the like, oh, I'm a zombie dude. But he did that to the sounds of Metallica, and I'm such a big Metallica fan, and when he stood up and had his lower third, it was a bit like Mortal Kombat. I was losing my damn mind. And I don't even know what I can tell you here, other than the fact that the production was awesome, the lighting was awesome, there was this spooky music in the background that was also awesome, and it was basically WWE doing exactly what they should have done in this situation. Get out of your comfort zone, try something new. Hey, if it didn't work, we'd all forgive you. But this didn't just work, it was the best Undertaker match I have seen in ages, and let's not take anything away from AJ Styles. He played his role wonderfully, even though the majority of that role was you get beaten up by this guy called Mark Calloway. I mean, some of the shots to his face, I was like, you are gonna kill that dude. And by the end of it, he actually did. Because seriously, the big finish was Taker taking AJ and throwing him into a grave. getting in some kind of tractor and burying him in dirt. Throughout all this, 2 Gallows and Anderson got involved, and one was like chokeslammed off the top of the roof, and the other, I think, was tombstoned into some fire. So all 3 members of the OC are now deceased, and you ain't ever going to be able to convince me otherwise. It's like the Elias thing we were talking about earlier. Human beings can't survive this. We're not immortal. Undertaker then got on his bike and just rode away. And again, I can't sing the praises of this enough. It was so good that when I woke up this morning, I watched it again just to make sure I loved it as much as I thought I did. So I will do what I always do. Just please go and watch it. It's not going to be for everyone. And there's already that guy on Twitter who got in touch with me going, "We have ruined the purity of wrestling." I don't care about the purity of wrestling. I care about my entertainment gland, and my entertainment gland was in overdrive after this saying, when you can't do this too much because you still will run it into the ground, WWE, as well as those cool promos you've been doing in front of an empty arena, you have struck on something here, and you need to, don't let it go. Don't just go back to the status quo when we're all said and done. Do more of this. And a round of applause for AJ Styles, a round of applause for Gallows, a round of applause for Anderson, and a massive round of applause for The Undertaker for just doing such a damn good job. And at one point, there were just a bunch of druid dudes, I think, in masks that came out from behind a fence. It was like a video game. It was like a video game, like, oh, can you get past this level? And Undertaker proved he had been putting in the practice. So yes, this was the stupidest thing I'd ever seen in my life, but I mean that as positively as I possibly can. Nothing else could have followed this. So while at one point I thought, we should have put this in the middle of the show to break things up and give WrestleMania 36 a different pacing, I was wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong. I can't wait to see what's going to happen now with Bray Wyatt and John Cena. If it's more of this, I may actually change my mind and say, screw original matches. I just want this kind of thing all the time. It was great. It was brilliant. Look at me. I don't even know what to say. I'm just going to dance for a bit. I don't even know why. I just got so much energy. And that was WrestleMania 36, and I'm going to say, in terms of part 1, it so far surpassed my expectations. I am very excited about part 2. I mean, a large part of this is the Boneyard match. I mean, usually in WWE, when I get excited about something, they do let me down. They did not let me down here. So think how insufferable I am going to be now. So it does get an up, and let's see if it can get an up in 24 hours too. Come on! Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about WrestleMania 36 Part 1. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling, then head over to WhatCulture.com, read yourself more articles. Follow WhatCulture on Twitter, WhatCulture WWE. Watch more videos here. We got a lot of them on WhatCulture Wrestling. My name is Simon from WhatCulture. I am now going to go to sleep because I'm well tired, but of course I'll see you tomorrow for WrestleMania 36 Part 2. Flipping Boneyard matches.